Welcome to the debut episode of All That You Lead. On this very first episode, we are speaking with Ludo. Ludo is a dynamic force in the digital marketing and strategic partnerships landscape. In addition to our work with a portfolio of clients, Ludo is instrumental to the work that we do at Railtown Media. Railtown Media is a sponsor of the All That You Lead podcast. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So Ludo, thank you for joining us here today. We really kind of want to focus this podcast and your experience on how you bridge your professional and your personal life as a marketing leader. So we don't want to dive too deep into what you do in terms of work. We really just want to understand about you and your life and how that really kind of plays into your career as a digital marketing leader. So let's get right into it then. So our first question there for you, Ludo. Could you start by sharing a little bit about your journey from Milan to Vancouver and really how this transition has influenced your approach to both leadership and marketing strategy?
Sure, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure and it's an honor to be the first guest. So thank you so much, Mark, and thank you, Railtown. Thank you, Railtown. I was born and raised in Milan, Italy. So my working journey started there. But my life led me to Vancouver. I'm not going to go into details why I came here. Let's say that it was for a guy, and the guy is not in my life anymore.
We don't need to dive too deep into it anymore. Exactly. All right, so you're happy in Vancouver now.
Yes. So I arrived in Vancouver. I moved in Vancouver in 2018. So I had a couple of years before the pandemic, thank God. And it was love at first sight with the city. So I visited here in 2017 because I wanted to scout and I wanted to see what it was, the city, landscape and everything. And one of the things that I found in Vancouver is the energy. Here there is an energy. There is a life that is like a vital life, like it's new life. And there is a lot of turnovers. So this is something that I noticed being in the city for a long time. Things move very quickly here. And things developed also very quickly. And lucky enough, I end up working for startups, right? So
a really dynamic, exciting space.
Exactly.
A lot of opportunity for rapid career progression. If you do good work, then...
Yeah, that is like what I noticed is that what you have to do was meant to be done yesterday. So you really have to speed up, but do it professionally and do it well, because otherwise it will just be a waste of your resource and your time and your energy, right? So, yeah.
I know that we work on we met working on a shared client. That's how this came to be, and how you started to do a little bit more work with Railtown. And I know that company, they just went through a whole process to revamp their vision statements for their team members. And one of the things that they prioritize is urgency. So it sounds like urgency, or kind of that ability to very quickly recognize opportunities and act on them, really kind of has played into your role as a marketing leader.
Yeah, I think that it helped me as well as a professional, right? Like not only as a marketer, but as a professional in the sense of being in a business world where everything is always changing and you have to adapt quickly to the change and find the solution that you need rapidly. So, and of course, right, being a marketer, like as you know very well, it even gets more specific because you not only have to meet your clients' needs, but you also have to meet the requirements that the tools that you're using, for instance, have, right? Like we know about
The tool landscape,
Yeah.
marketing technology, the ever-changing, very dynamic landscape of marketing tech.
Yes.
Um,
We're not naming names, but
Facebook, Meta, Google,
yeah, exactly.
Apple,
Analytics.
GA4. Anyone know
Yeah,
that?
email requirements.
Yes, yeah. Have
All
your
of that.
DMARC records up to date. Yeah, good times.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that was, and going back to the original question about my journey that took me from Italy to Milan, from Milan to Vancouver, I believe that I would have never become who I am professionally, also personally, but particularly professionally, if I would have stayed in Milan. I love my city, don't get me wrong. It's beautiful, it's amazing, and the work is phenomenal there. But I would not have had the same path that I had here if I was staying there. Because I would have not met this group of people, of professionals, you, Apera, like the client that we have. And I also have the feeling that I found also mentors. That it's the other part, I think, of my business that I really love. That some of the clients that I have, I help them, but they help me to grow as a professional. So it's a good exchange. Like I find that there is a great exchange here, like that.
So do you think that's do you think that's ingrained in you, that you kind of seek out these opportunities, or do you think that being in Vancouver and doing some of the client work that you did unlocked some doors for you? What do you think about the change or the setting of Vancouver has kind of helped you become a leader in the space?
I think a little bit of both, in the sense that for sure it's part of my character to chase growth and to be better, right? To never be satisfied with what I achieve and always wanted to achieve the next goal. So that for sure. And Vancouver allowed me to do that and is allowing me to do that. So also the Vancouver business landscape, because as we said, is very dynamic and has many opportunities and has still space. This is the other part. It's not yet full. You still have a little bit of space, and that space allows businesses and professionals like myself, like you, like Real Town, and to have that type of growth and change. Because I think that growth without change doesn't really matter. You're growing and you're changing while you're growing. Doesn't mean that you are not keeping what you had before, or that you are just utilizing or using the same resources in a different way. That is also something that can be said, especially from my side. But yeah, I think that is the combination of the two. So for sure I was already in that mindset, but being here enhanced everything, probably.
Yeah, okay, that makes
sense.
a lot of sense, yes. I know on my own similar journey to Vancouver then, I was ready to embrace a challenge and find something new, and so I can, that resonates with me, and I think probably then to our listeners that have found themselves in new locations, driven by the aspects that lead to either progressing your career or making a change in your personal life, and you land in a new place and you're open for opportunity. And I don't know if there's a magic in being open to opportunity or not, or if you have to manifest that as a leader or in your career.
It's never a dull moment, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And it's not easy. Like, I have to say this. Like, I think that you need to have also, it's not much of the courage to do that, but the resilience to know that you can fail, that you will go through hardship. It's not all unicorns and roses. It's not that, oh yeah, I want to change and I wanted to grow, and right away you will do that. You have to put effort, you have to put out time. You need also to be a little bit patient with how you progress. This is something that I noticed. But I also noticed that when you start to be in that position in business where you are I don't like the term leader because, I feel
Leader. So we've struggled with, so when we were coming up with the name for this podcast, and you're all getting the inside scoop as the first watchers here, but the term leadership and leader, it kind of implies a bit of a hierarchy, and I think we kind of want to, we others have said this, but disrupt the idea, the concept, or the definition of leader. And I do think that that's something that we want to achieve here through this podcast. And it's less about that hierarchical legacy approach to leadership. And I think it is more about recognizing value in being modern professionals and kind of embracing opportunity. And I think that's more like the angle that we want to play up with leadership. And how we want leaders to go out. And it is about leading your own life. It is about intentionally setting goals and objectives. It is about finding balance with your career and finding balance with life and making time for the moments that matter with the people that matter most to you. And as much as we love our clients at Railtown, it's our family and our, my loving wife and the people that we surround ourselves with that really kind of drive a lot of what we do. And there's leadership in that too.
Yeah.
Anything to shed in terms of your take on kind of that role of leader, or a different definition or a different take on leadership in today's world?
I think that for me is something that is a word that I am start to embrace a little bit more. Because before, for me, as you said, it was more of a matter of a pyramid, right? The hierarchy of a company, and then you're in the leadership role, and then only when you're in the leadership role, then you have certain responsibilities and certain duties. Now, for me, it's more about ownership, right? So I own my shit. I own.
Love it. This is why we work together. Yes.
So, excuse my French. But yes, it's just you have nobody else that will do what you need to be doing, and nobody also to blame, because I think that something that can happen every now and then, it's when you don't feel that you are in that leadership role, that you can somehow lean on somebody or just wait for somebody to approval or for a refusal, right? And when you don't have that, but you are your own person, in the sense that everything that you're doing, it's on you, and then if it's good or bad, you will be the one to find out, basically. So I think that for me, ownership and leadership go hand in hand and hand in hand. Sorry, English is not my first language.
Got it. Hand in hand.
If you didn't notice.
If you make a big deal out of it, now everyone notices, but
I think
we all knew what you meant.
But yeah, so I would say this for me, and also accepting it. Accepting that I am in that position, that I am working to be in that position, and then I worked to be in that position. So I still, and also another side that I'm struggling, and I am noticing now that we're growing, right, that Railtown is growing, that even the work that we're doing as consultants with our clients is growing, and so now we start to have teams within the clients, right? So we manage people now as well. What I notice is that I struggle. My main struggle in this case is not to be doing the work directly, but to guide somebody well enough that they will be equipped to do the work, and then that I will just have to review or check it and nothing more, because the tension that I have is to be in the front line and to be the one executing things. Well, I have to take a step back, right? And say, okay, no, I need to be able to say what needs to be done, to give all the tools and all the information needed, and then they will deploy the task. They will execute the task.
I think that's a really great point, and really kind of a distinction where, like, So leader, regardless of the implied hierarchical structure, of the legacy of what that means, what I do think is you hit the nail on the head with and resonated with me here now is the idea that there does come a point in your career where you kind of shift maybe a little bit away from the tactical to kind of more of the strategic thinking while still guiding the tactical. The work that I do, I still like getting my hands dirty, and that makes me a better marketer. Yeah. We do, for example, a lot of the work that we do for our website and for our IT needs, I kind of like to take that on, even though it's not the best use of my time, but it does make me a better marketer. But I also recognize that doing too much tactical or investing too much time into tactics that are maybe cost efficient and value oriented, but they are time suck, are just not worth it anymore as I get more senior in my career. And find the tools and technology and working with people and teams that are aligned to working together and providing support and helping with execution of the actual tactical makes a lot of sense. And it is kind of that, I think, that natural evolution of career growth when you've waged those battles and you've been in the thick of it, and you have the experience then to kind of offer more guidance and more coaching and more training and more strategy and more insight that moves things forward quickly, efficiently, and getting kind of done the right way. So I think that's very well said.
Yeah, because there is always that devil in the back of your head that says, you will do it better. You will do
there
it.
Is. So how do you give up some of that control to kind of elevate the work that you do and the objectives of your clients?
For me is trust. So one of the the value that is fundamental for me, even to get on board with a client, with a new one, is trust. So if I don't get the sense of trust, I don't even start working with somebody, because then I know for sure that working relationship is tainted from day one.
Yeah, that fit and alignment I think is so critical, especially to as a consultant or as an agency or as a service provider. Software, the trust is absolutely instrumental. But it's kind of baked into, say, a cloud-based sign-up that has some security kind of built in. But I think human-to-human trust is very critical to emerging as a leader, coming forward and driving.
It's also, I think, trust for me and believing in the cause. I know that it seems a little bit outlaking and elevating, the work of a digital marketer or a marketer, but
we call it impact. That's the word we like to use. We like to work with brands that drive impact.
Exactly,
and we really do like to drive impact and change. Yes.
So this is very important for me. So the alignment with the values and with what they were doing, before, and what we will be able to do together, right? So where we're going as well.
So how do you get on the same page, be it with working with other teams and other people, or onboarding, or sending a proposal to a client? How do you kind of align from the get-go, or what have you leveraged from your personal life or your previous professional life that you kind of bring to the table now to
I'm a little bit old school, I think. So I do my due diligence. So research.
Yeah, I saw you checking out our LinkedIn from that.
Yes. So it's in that sense, I still trust that be prepared. It's the base, and then everything else moves from there. So I wanted to be prepared. I wanted to know who I'm talking to, as much as I can. And right now, thankfully, thanks to the online presence, everyone has online presence. Most people should have online presence. And if you don't, you should reach out to us, by the way, because that's a problem.
Plug for Railtown. Do you need some help expanding your brand and growing online? We can do that for you.
Yes. So the online presence helps a lot because it gives you an overview of the company, of the client, and of the people, right? And also of the values that the company has. And then I move from there. And then, of course, scooping calls are fundamental. and I'm also a person, I know how this is personal, it's not professional. I trust my gut feelings. So if I have the feeling that something is off, usually it is really off, you know, and usually then maybe I may start working with the client, but with boundaries. So with an agreement that is just maybe 1 month or 2 months, and then let's see where we're at. If I don't have that impression, then the agreement will change, right? And then the agreement can be broader and long term. I think that the both of us were working with clients for a long time, and it's not that common, I think, in our space to have clients for that many years, those many years, right?
We focus on long-term relationships. You and I both in our respective individual consulting roles, and then also through our work together, long-term relationships. Wow. Not only is it beneficial for us to forge long-term relationships, but for our clients, like we really kind of see we get into a cycle, and once we're kind of in that cycle, things get. We can do things more quickly. We can do better campaigns. We have better data to inform that next period, be it the next quarter or the next year. Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say that this is. I know it's a little bit old school. I would love to say art and craft, but no, it's
it's like
no, no. It's
so feeling things out, doing some research, meeting with people, getting on the same page, testing things out a little bit before fully committing.
Maybe doing an audit as well. Maybe something that I saw, especially early in my career, that works very well. It's to do, I may call it maybe pro bono work, in the sense just to give a sample of what you can do for the client, and then the client will value it very well, very, very much, especially if you are doing a valuable work, right? So you're giving just maybe a piece, a section, a segment of what your work will be with this client, and you say, hey, this is how I will do this. This is what value I will bring to the table, right? I am not suggesting this. I also know that in North America, this is also part of my culture. Like coming from Europe, coming from a different work culture and work ethic, it's a little bit different. So for me, it's not that strange to do something without compensation. It's wrong, don't do it. But to show something, to prove something, I think it can go a long way. That's also one of the reasons why, for instance, when I started doing this job and I shifted to this career, my first job was an apprenticeship, and I was not being paid. So the goal of the apprenticeship was for me to learn and to be mentored by the leaders of the company, and then lucky enough I got hired from the company, right? But I worked those 3 months for free. Not for free because I had a return of investment of my time and my effort, but it was not money. There were not money, there was not a money compensation, it wasn't monetary, right?
It's a really kind of an interesting topic that does come up, and especially I think still in the marketing and design space is should you do free audits? Should you do I will look at your Google Ads account and tell you what you need to do. That type of work leads to a type of client that is a little bit more transactional in my experience. And also then, if you put in time, then it seems fair that you should get compensated. But at the same time, there is a bit of a vetting process. And whether you are a consultant or an entrepreneur, or you're applying for a new job, there is always kind of a baseline of effort that's required from both parties to find that alignment and fit. And sometimes that maybe looks a little bit different in different scenarios. And I think ultimately, if you put on your, does this make sense in terms of the ROI or potential ROI, I think that's a fair way to kind of assess the value of giving away a little bit of your time. And also recognizing that you get some value out of the time on the other side too. But a
This
very
was early in my career.
yeah, it's right.
Especially.
It is an interesting topic, and you know, in British Columbia, for example, internships are no longer. There are still opportunities for securing government grants to help pay for team members and other plays like that, partnering with schools and universities. But that landscape has significantly changed. I think for relatively recently, all things considered. All right. Well, I know that I sent you over a list of questions here earlier, and we have a few more to cover.
Yes.
But I love where we're going and the direction that we've been, so I'm just going to kind of pick and choose a few here. So let me just. All right.
So he sent it this morning, this afternoon. I didn't even read them, so it's just like.
Okay, so that's not a big point of the questions here. Well, where else do we, you know what? So like I said, we want to talk about the professional side and the personal side, and we've talked a lot about the personal side and the professional side. But let's get to what does the day in life Ludo look like? We don't have to. I think what do you do for hobbies? How do you stay healthy and well? We all know that these factors play into having a better career in terms of taking care of yourself first and foremost. So can you tell us a little bit about how you take care of yourself?
So I will say that I should do it better, and I'm working towards that. One of the downsides of being, not downsides, but I think that if you are a consultant and you are in the space, you will know this. I always think, okay, this month is like this, is super busy, it's hectic, but I know that next month will be slower, and that never comes. And so there is the next thing, and then it's hectic and etc. So I know that I should have a better balance, work-life balance. So I have few escapes from work, but not enough. So I'm working too much. You too, because I know.
Yeah, that's landing. Yeah, should I take more time for myself? Yes. Do I know? Do I plan to? Yes. And then do I do it? No. But I think it is very important to take time.
So now we are March 1st, and I have the feeling that this first 2 months of 2024, they've been crazy for me. I know for you too. So right now, like today, it's been a couple of days that I feel super tired, because finally I know that I am able to slow down a little bit, and so all the stress and all the lack of sleep and tiredness is catching up with me. That's sad. I started, and I don't think it's a coincidence. I started to go to a therapist.
Yeah.
So I do 1 hour a week. I try to do 1 hour a week, because there are weeks that I cannot even find that hour to go, because
as much of a priority as it is, often client needs come first.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So I try to. I'm pretty consistent, I have to say, and that helps a lot, because having 1 hour that it's just for yourself, and that you talk with a professional that helps you, supports you, and also gives you a better perspective on what's going on in your life, I think it's invaluable. And I believe in therapy, right? A lot. Then I do yoga. I do hot
awesome.
yoga.
Very Vancouver.
Very Vancouver.
On brand.
Yes, on brand. I was not doing yoga before moving here, and it took me a couple of years to get into yoga, because I was resistant at the beginning, and then I gave up, and I became a true Vancouverite, and now
And not even yoga, hot yoga.
Hot yoga, yeah, specific hot
For those of you not from Vancouver, that means getting in a very hot room with a bunch of other sweaty people and doing yoga. So it's a commitment.
Yeah, it's mentally challenging and physically challenging, but that hour you cannot think about anything else, because it's so demanding on your body and on your mind that's the only focus that you can have. That's it. So that helps me a lot. I walk a lot as well, so I try to walk from places if I'm not running late, Italian here. I run late often, as Mark knows. This morning I was
We
late.
built this entire. We send invites 15 minutes early.
Yes.
No.
No, but that's unfortunate. I'm also stereotyping my own people. It's so bad. But me.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The country of Italy and anyone who's ever come from Italy.
Yeah. Not everybody, me specifically. But yeah, so if I don't have a time constraint, I try to walk. Without, and if I can, I walk even without, like just walking around, almost losing myself around. I find, especially in Vancouver, it's perfect for this. It allows you, with the green, with the parks and everything, it allows you to just walk around without a purpose almost. And that takes my minds off things. And then I'm a very social person, so for me also social engagements, it's something that helps me a lot. You know, if I know that I have a dinner, it will be hard for me to say no to that dinner. So most likely, if I have work to do, I'll go to the dinner and do the work after dinner. But at least I will have those couple of hours that I am interacting with somebody else. I'm not talking about work. I am just, you know, enjoying something else, maybe a nice meal, some wine, unwinding, you know. And something that I lost before and now I'm regaining, reading. Not marketing related.
No.
Readings. That was the problem. So I was so, all the time that I was dedicating to reading, it was, oh, okay, I have to catch up on this. I didn't read about this. And it was always related to marketing. It was always, or business, right? Oh, there is this new business trend. Oh, I knew that there is this new company. Oh, there is this new merge. Oh, I have to now, it's okay. Those readings need to happen during the work time. And after the work time, I will read only novels or topics that I'm interested in that are not marketing. So yeah, I would love also to go, like I used to go to theater plays. That is the other thing.
Awesome.
Really, Vancouver, it's hard on this. Like the scene here, it's a little bit more difficult for me to approach, let's say. There are options.
There are. As a local Vancouverite that does enjoy theater from time to time, there are options, but a bit of a different play, I think, than a lot of other major cities. I also think that I'm not that familiar yet, because out of those 6 years, 3 were COVID and theaters were closed, right? Oh yeah, fair point. Yeah, so, COVID did really kind of disrupt a lot of the whole entertainment realm there.
Yeah. So I think that that's also like I will get better with time. You know, I will get to know more companies, more theaters. You know, underground theater. Like those are beautiful, right? Like so. Yeah, I would say this. It's. Yeah, and also recreational drugs, can we say this?
Let me just check with the boss. Can we talk about recreational drugs? Well, they're legal now. We're only talking about the legal ones, right?
Yes, only legals. I don't do illegal drugs. No.
So we talked about this before the podcast where, you know, like on Apple you get the little E for explicit, or I don't know what it is on Spotify these days. We're talking about recreational drugs. So,
well, this is, I think, it helps with mental health, and it helps also with your mood. You know, like I'm not high while I work. I cannot. I cannot. Yes. Nothing against people that are high while they work. I admire them. I cannot function that well if I'm high. But if I need to relax, or if I'm very stressed, you know, sometimes you have trouble sleeping. Sometimes you have trouble just being normal without keep thinking back on the day that you just spent working, whatever you're doing. And I found that recreational drugs can help, and they're fun. Let's
And
say
they are
this.
fun.
Let's say this. They are fun. And as a marketer, I have to say,
Get those creativity
yes,
juices going. I don't want to steal words from your mouth, but I hear that. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
because let's remember that marketing is science and art combined.
It is.
So that art part, I think that it goes very well with recreation. We should have a session. Let's see what we come up with.
So in a future podcast, when we invite Ludo back as a guest, we are going to explore creativity.
How to get creative.
So awesome. So, in terms of kind of bridging those two worlds now, professional, personal, so it is important to, you talked about mental health, physical health, finding time to socialize. It is about finding outlets that allow you to explore creativity, be it recreational drugs or picking up a new book. And it is about making time for that. So I think we're coming to, I don't know what time we're at, because I wasn't keeping track, because this is the first one.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's either an appropriate amount of time or
Or
going
it's too
way
long.
too long.
Yeah.
Right? But I think we're still good. So I am going to ask you maybe a couple wrap-up questions here and kind of tie everything together. So yeah, we've kind of talked about personal, we've talked about professional, we've talked about some of those trends that are top of mind in marketing these days. In terms of your experience and where you're at right now in your career, and in terms of a leader and the title of leader, do you have anything that you'd like to kind of share with our audience in terms of connecting those dots, professional, personal, leader, and how we're utilizing the term leader in modern day business speak?
There are a couple of things that saying out loud, I am also saying to myself. Be patient with yourself, first and foremost. Be kind to yourself. Fail 3 times and get up 4 times. Like sometimes right now in our world, failure is negative, has only a negative connotation. And I think that if you never fail, it means that you never tried.
Absolutely.
And if you fail and then you can pick up from where you failed and get up, raise from it just once more, then you're a winner, in my opinion. So patience, be kind with others as well. Like I think that I don't want to use the term modesty because this has some negative shades, but I would say be compassionate.
Yeah, that whole idea of empathy rings true. It does.
Exactly. In professionally as well, not only personally, that it's fundamental, but also professionally. And I think that if you're compassionate with the others will be compassionate with you, and you can there's a good positive exchange of energy in that compassion, play.
Love it.
Yeah, I think this, and and never stop learning.
Yeah, when you talk about failure, and there's there's often, fail fast and figure it out and learn. But I think that puts a nice, it is about learning. It's about overcoming challenges or recognizing opportunity. And I think failure and an iterative approach to learning, or always being on the lookout for learning opportunities.
Yeah. And dream.
Rings true.
And dream. Keep dreaming. It doesn't matter where you are at life, what is your age, what is your education. It doesn't matter. Dream, because without dreams, there are no goals. Because you need to have your goals, but goals are always realistic. They're always down to earth. Dreams is something that usually needs to be bigger than what you can achieve or what you think that is achievable, at least in the near future, but is something that feels full, like it's a fuel, right? It drives you. This is what I think. So just dream big. Like I know it's
like that.
cheesy.
I like that.
It's a bit cheesy.
No, I mean,
I know.
marketers, we
but-
architect language, we architect, we capture consumer behavior to build campaigns. But I think a very simple, like dream big, set, like, yeah, goals, like you say, goals generally, even if you're setting a goal and it's a lofty goal, is something that in your mind you still think you can achieve. And I think a dream is bigger and it does drive more, and it drives it in a different way.
Yeah.
So that resonates and rings true. I think we'll almost wrap up there. I think to close out though, sometimes they say that sharing your dreams or your ambitions is, I know, I'm gonna make this a long question so that you have time to think about it. But articulating your dreams sometimes helps you to achieve them. And we've got an audience that's going to be listening and maybe can even help you to achieve those dreams. Anything that you'd like to share with our audience here today?
Okay, so yes. So my dream is to keep doing what I'm doing, because one of my dreams since I was a kid, and I achieved that dream. So keep dreaming. It was to wake up every morning happy for what I was going to do that day, and it was tailored to work, to the profession that I was doing. So not generally in my life. I didn't want it to be one of those persons that wake up in the morning, oh my God, I don't want to go to work, that sucks. No, I wanted to say, oh, I'm happy. And even if you're tired, even if, it's a difficult time, again, not all unicorns and roses, but even in those times, you always have to remind yourself, okay, but I'm doing what I like to do, what I love to do. So my dream is to keep doing that, to be an entrepreneur, like a real one. I know that I'm already one.
You are already an entrepreneur. Like, you check that box. I know it's hard to sometimes check that box by yourself, but we'll help you check that box here today.
Okay, let's say to grow, to grow as an entrepreneur. And if I have to dream, I dream a life where I can still dedicate a big portion, a big chunk of my life to work, because it empowers me and makes me who I am as well. But be able to have that, I won't say nomad life, but that freedom to be able to also have my life here and maybe my life in Europe, because that's also the reality for an international person like me. That's also the reality, because Vancouver is home, Milan is home, Europe is home for me. So to try to make everything work in a way where I will be able to move around these geographic places, that for me would be great. And of course, since I'm dreaming, I also dream, to have a happy life, also personally, right? So a family, maybe with kids, and so probably that is it's not that.
So traveling the world with people that you love and care about, bouncing around all over, while doing rewarding and meaningful work for.
Yeah, and keep growing, right? Because growing as a person and growing also my business, that is something that, and I would like to arrive on my business at a point where I can divert some of the profits, not the revenue, some of the profits of the business to a cause that is close to my heart. That in this case, for me, it will be to support arts.
Awesome.
And artists in need,
Well, and I know that you come from a family of artists, and you did just spend a couple months there in Italy, so you are actively achieving your dream, like you set out that intention in the world, and here you are. So I think it sounds like you're already well on track there to achieve that big dream. So. Fantastic. Well, Ludo, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for being the very first inaugural guest on the All That You Lead podcast, sponsored by Railtown Media.
Check the website. It doesn't say it. I'll say it. Check the website.